Guys, if you've been trying to make money online and you're not really finding things that are really working, right? You're finding things that may or may not work, where you have to sink thousands of dollars into something like dropshipping, trading, Amazon, whatever, and you're finding like, I just need a straightforward path that I can throw my time and focus into, right? This is what I'm about to tell you. It's not that passive income scheme thing where like, okay, it's going to be 2 hours a day of work and I make 50 grand a month, but I'm going to show you a path here that's the most doable, straightforward path that transparently any knucklehead with a work ethic and a heartbeat can do. Okay, so essentially what this is, guys, is literally just quite literally clicking a button, okay, right here that makes you active, and then reading a script word for word that you see right here. And as soon as you click this button, then every 10 seconds, someone's gonna pick up the phone and you're gonna go for that script word for word, and you're gonna close or you're not gonna close that person, and it automatically goes to the next person, okay? Now, that's in terms of logistics, all that you do. After you get to like 15, 20K a month, okay, we've even had people do 25 grand a month on this system. After you do those kinds of numbers, then you can actually start graduating into more complex systems with automations and tags and all that kind of shit, but it's not needed, okay? In the beginning, this is what you do. You work in free leads, you click a button, and you read a fucking script, okay? And so that is literally what you have to do to not think. The only thing you have to think about is learn that damn script and learn sales in terms of tonality, in terms of if someone gives you an objection. And actually we have down here all of the objections, right? If someone gives you an objection, you go for the objection handle script. And so that is as simple as it can get to get you with no risk, right? And really good guidance up to like that 10, 15, or it could even go to 2025. But ideally you want to go after 10, 15, you want to kind of go into stage 2, which is higher quality leads, right? And it is less volume per deal. But the idea here is this, and the thing is that, guys, you're getting paid $800 per deal on average here, okay? So let's hop onto my screen real quick here and show you what the math is looking like. So as I said, guys, you're in our system, and then all you do is click a button and read a script word for word. Now, what you're going to be looking for in terms of numbers here is you're going to be wanting to do 500 dials a day. Now, it sounds like a lot, but this system actually dials 7 numbers at the same time, so it goes rather quick. And then you want to have about 50 conversations, or 50 pickups rather, and then 10 proper long conversations. And then you want to get one deal out of that, okay? Now that one deal is basically going to on average pay you $800. Now that can also be a lot more, okay? That's the average that it is. It can also be less. But like, let's look at some examples, right? So this is a little less, but then, here Cam is closing 1632 there, and then he had over 4K that day. And let's see, there's a couple more here, 2700 right there. Right, so Cam is closing a lot, and then we have some other people in here too that are making some big deals. 1470 for Mike, and then Cornell, a lower one, 320, a little bag, and so that's kind of how it rips here, guys. And then there's a lot of people in here. There's closing deals, and so anyways, that, and here is even a bigger one, right? This guy did 4,600 on his day, right? And so that basically is how this works. Now, when you see annual premium, okay, I'm just giving you some context. Like, what we're actually selling here is life insurance, okay? And so you might be wondering, look, if this is so simple, why am I going to get paid that much? Well, the reason for that is because this is life insurance, which means that the customer for these insurance companies is going to stay on ideally for life, right? And so that's a very big payday for them every time you sign someone up, which allows them to pay you and reward you very well for actually signing people up. Okay, so that's why the pay is so high. Now, what I'm saying here in terms of the system and the script and all of that kind of stuff, that's just because we have a program that built it out like this that allows you to really have such a straightforward process, because usually it's not that easy, okay? Usually it's not that fucking easy. It's you have to build these systems yourself, a dialer, how to find the leads, all that kind of stuff, because this is more than a business than a sales job, but we just made it with our program, much more easy than that. Okay, and if you want to know more about that program, you can go below this video and you can book a call with me directly to chat about it, how we help you one-on-one and stuff like that. But anyway, that being said, with guaranteed results, by the way. That being said, after this, what happens is you make a sale for example, $80 a month, right? Now, that goes times 12, okay? And then what we're going to get is 80 times 12 is 960, okay? So we're gonna get 960. Now, 960 is our total annual premium. That's an AP, okay? And then you get your percentage split off that. So if you're on free leads, you usually would get like times 65%. So you would make a total of 624 bucks on that deal, okay? And that's what you would make bottom line because you weren't paying for anything in terms of out of pocket on leads or whatever. Okay. Now most companies you do have to pay for leads, and you can also do that, but then you're going to get a higher percentage. You're going to get usually 85%. At least that's what we get our guys. Okay. So that's basically how we do this, and that's going to allow you to make a ton of money for selling something that's not that expensive to them, right? For a sales guys, usually it's the other way around. If to make 800 bucks, usually you have to sell a program that's 8,000, and then you get 10% of that, which is like 800 bucks, okay? And that's fine, that's good, but how much easier is it to sell something for 80 bucks a month and then make, depending on your, if it paid leads or not or whatever, make 600 to 800 bucks off that, okay? So you're actually doing it the other way around, if that makes sense. So what we're selling here, guys, as I said, is life insurance. So it's not just that you're like making a ton of money here, but it's also the fact that like you're actually helping people protect their family and giving something that everybody needs, not just wants. And that's a big difference in sales, okay? Now here's the big thing. Once you're starting to do this and you're starting to get up to like those numbers of like 10, 15, 20K a month. And by the way, we have a ton of testimonials and stuff like that that actually show that on my YouTube and whatnot. So these are real numbers that we're talking about here. And then once you do that, guys, then your lifestyle is obviously going to change because you're like traveling the world, or at least able to. You can do whatever you want. You can work in Medellin. You can go on trips. You can do all this fun stuff, right? So from there on, like people are literally going to be asking you, like, dude, what are you doing nowadays, right? That kind of stuff. And so people are going to want to do the same thing, right? Because they see you having all this freedom, making all this cash, and they're going to want to do the same thing. And this is where it really gets interesting, because after you do this, you can start to build people under you, okay? You can start to have your friends that are reaching out to you, and you can start to train them and then get a percentage of what they're making, okay? And that allows you to make more money, and it allows you to help them and just get incentivized to do it. So we call it a manager's fee for managing your people. Then you get a percentage of whatever they make, because it's obviously all based on performance, okay? And then you can really grow far without spending more of your own time. And that's where we do get into that semi-passive income, okay? Because a lot of people try to go into semi-passive or passive income from the start, but you don't have something called leverage yet. But at this point, you have leverage because you have a skill now that you can teach to others, right? That are going to be working under you, and that's called leverage, right? You create value from that, and then you're going to be able to count on other people's time, not just your own. And that's really where you start getting interesting, right? Okay, now the second thing is like these $800 contracts, they also have a 3% residual every year, okay? That starts stacking up over time. In the beginning, it's not that much, but it does start stacking up over time, which creates full passive income, okay? And then the last thing, guys, is that you own your book of business, okay? So all these contracts that you're selling, right? You own them, you own your book of business, and they have those 3% residuals on them as well. And on top of that, you have all these agents under you that are producing X amount per month, etc., X amount per year in terms of contracts. So what you can sell at some point is this book of business to big insurance carriers or to big insurance partners, and you can sell this at a multiple, okay, like 2 to 5x of what it actually makes per year. And that's where you literally can get a one-off big ass check, okay, that's going to be able to work yourself into your retirement funds, okay? Now, obviously, we're not lazy sacks of shit, so we don't want to just hang out on the beach after that. But, you know, you can invest that money into business, into real estate, and those kinds of things. And, you know, that is just going to be a way for you to really focus on something that builds cash flow in the short term, right? As we're saying, whilst helping people protect their family and be able to give back to your friends and family, whatever, okay, or even people from social media, and make cash flow whilst you're doing all of that, make semi-passive income, get residuals, and then get a heavy, big old check at the end whilst you're all done with it, okay? And so then you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. And this process, guys, this is like a couple-year process. I would say this is like a 3-year process. Could be 3 to 5. It really depends how big you want that check to be. But you can even do this in 2 years already, right, if you're really grinding. So, guys, Tell me another business. I honestly got out of the information business, just e-com, information, etc., to get into this business. Because tell me another business, guys, where you can literally, right, make that cash flow short term, help other people, get overrides, get semi-passive income, get passive income, and then work your way into your retirement funds. There is no other business, and all whilst mastering and learning the most important skill in life that's going to serve you not just in your financial life, in your wallet, but in every single area of your life. Because confidence, charisma, sales, communication, persuasion, that is everything in life. Okay. So listen, if you want to know more about this, check the link in the description. There's going to be a link there that you can actually book a call with me and watch a more extensive training as well after doing so. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video here. Hope I gave you some game, and I'll speak to you soon.